Let's be honest, for the majority of movies or any other films, the most we see a dinosaur do is kill a few people and probably another dinosaur. But how many have we seen commit acts that match some of the events that occurred in the 1900s? Okay, maybe not that bad. Anyway, I'm talking about mass killings for sport, pleasure, or just because they can. Some on this list kill thousands for the sake of carrying out their own selfish goals, while others have racked up hundreds of kills to protect the ones they love. Today I'm going to discuss the dinosaurs with the highest body count in cinema. This video is probably going to be in 3 parts, with this video being part 1. Also, a huge shout out to the guy that suggested this video to me in the comments a while back. I can't remember who left the suggestion, but thank you. This list was surprisingly more challenging than I thought, because most people think of dinosaurs as monsters that just kill everything in sight, but in all actuality I found it a tad bit difficult finding dinosaurs that had a kill count of more than 30, but hey, I made it work. Before we finally start the video, if any new viewers watching would like to see their dinosaur get a chance of being in one of these videos, leave it in the comments, vote in the polls, and hit that subscribe button. You can always unsubscribe if this sort of content isn't for you. Now that the shameless plug is finally over, let's take a look at dinosaurs with some of the highest body counts in cinema history. Starting off the list, we have the most evil dinosaur in all of fiction. This isn't one of the most evil dinosaurs, he is actually the worst. Crimes include mass murder, infanticide, home invasion, and attempted sexual assault. I'm not going to go too in depth with his entire background and everything, since there's a bunch of different videos I made about this guy, but if you would like a single video dedicated to him and his life, let me know in the comments. One Eye is an old male T-Rex with one of his eyes missing, and comes from the movie Dinosaur King, which is mainly about a young Tarbosaurus called Speckles, who struggled all the way to adulthood just because of one eye. If you guys want to see his story, check out this video. The very first time One Eye comes on screen, he immediately plots to kill something. The guy sees an ankylosaurus down in the valley and decides to push a large boulder on its tail to render it helpless. And when he does go down, he looks the pumpkin-shaped herbivore directly in the eyes like, "What are you going to do about it?" and kills it. The dude barely got a few bites in, and he looks over the valley where Speckles and his family are. He hates these dinosaurs so much that his toes curl up. This is the only movie where I think I saw dinosaur racism. They're both tyrannosaurs, but I guess he thought T-Rexes were the superior species. He is similar to Scar in terms of planning, but he goes out and gets business done instead of relying on minions. When Speckles and his family went on a hunt, he decides to lead a stampede of every large herbivore in the area towards the Tarbosaurus family, which immediately kills Speckles. Brother quits after he tried to save him, and then the two sisters were next as they were pushed off the cliff. Then finally he grabbed Speckles' mom by the throat and threw her off the cliff and killed her. Now if you've been counting so far, you'd think this is 5 deaths so far, but it's actually hundreds. When this guy started the stampede, hundreds of dinosaurs fell to their deaths, and he was the cause, so many lives lost, just so that he can complete his mission, which was to separate Speckles' mom and kill her himself. The next death was the Therizinosaurus he tricked into getting its arm stuck. Basically, this Therizinosaurus was starting to press One Eye after he accidentally entered the territory, so One Eye lured it to a tree and made it stab the tree with its hand to get it stuck, where he gave the Therizinosaurus the exact same look he gave the Ankylosaurus before he killed it. He hasn't been shown to kill anything else until near the end of the movie, well, at least not on screen. But he was about to kill Speckles until our boy locked in and beat him, because if he didn't, then Blue Eyes was getting the Cosby treatment from the Demon Rex. After that, everything went downhill for Speckles, which was losing his childhood home forever and having one of his kids killed along with his wife. And One Eye was about to add to the family tragedies. He sees Speckles' 2 remaining kids and decides to start another stampede of once again thousands of dinosaurs directly to Speckles. At this point, more than 1,000 dinosaurs have been killed by him, just so he can ruin Speckles' life. The guy pulls up next to Speckles' remaining 2 offspring and sends one flying onto a rock where it died on impact. Just before he could kill the remaining one, Speckles came in to break it up. The two fight, and in the scuffle, Junior, which is the name of Speckles' only remaining child, gets sent into the ocean, and One Eye soon follows after he is slapped into the water. This absolute menace doesn't try to look for shore or anything. He immediately looks for the remaining baby and swims directly towards it. Speckles wouldn't let that happen, however. He jumps onto One Eye and the two fight in the ocean, where all of One Eye's karma came back for him at full force when a 100-foot Tylosaurus grabbed him back the neck and gave him the hybrid treatment, where he was then dragged to the depths. We started the list off strong with something that killed more than 1,000 other dinosaurs, and don't give me the, but he didn't actually kill those dinosaurs. Yes, he did. He literally led them to their deaths to ensure he had the upper hand in both scenarios. So for me at least that counts. He gets the stamp of approval. The next dinosaur is yet again another T-Rex. And this one is actually a hero that was forced to kill thousands so she could protect the ones she loved. I bet most of you weren't expecting this. Fang may be a hero, but dear heavens, she kills a lot. As a matter of fact, almost every single episode she kills something. I don't know how this is possible, but for those of you who don't know, Fang comes from the Adult Swim show Primal, where she travels around the world with a caveman called Spear, after both of their families were killed by the same red tyrannosaur subspecies. Both her and Spear would kill and risk death for the other, all the way to the end. But this isn't the video to get into all of that. In this one we're gonna see just how many times Fang has killed, or at least most of the times, because there's just too many. In the very first episode she kills 2 of the red T-Rex variants that killed her babies, which already is a good start. At least she can beat another theropod her size or larger without help. After that she kills some snakes, a mammoth and more than a dozen raptors, which is still a high count. But the real carnage doesn't start until late season 1. The main reason Fang is able to kill the way she does is her bite. Like for her size, the bite force she has is unmatched. I mean, she bit a Titanoboa's head clean off while she was underwater, and yes, it's a Titanoboa's, even though in the show it has fangs. After she was almost beaten to death by the ape who takes the type of drugs you only find in Florida, Spear nurses her back to help, but they are tracked down by thousands of hyenas. Just as Spear was about to be overwhelmed, Fang came bursting out and legitimately kills more than 100 of them in less than a minute, whether it be biting them in half or breaking their bones when she swings her tail. Season 2 is where things really start to get serious in terms of human casualties. In Season 2 she meets a red Rex called Red, and the two develop a close bond until she is peer pressured into eating people, and then killed him later to protect Spear. After that loss she would end up killing thousands of people in later episodes. The first of these casualties were the Vikings who tried to enslave Spear and her, which was just a stupid idea. I don't care how strong you think you are. What chance do you think 2 cave bears can do against a T-Rex and a man with arms as big as a person's waist? She ends up killing some of these bears and almost 100 people in the Viking village to free Mira and the rest of the slaves from the Vikings' tyranny. She manages to kill dozens of Vikings in this period, which is already more than any theropod in the Jurassic franchise. Now before you come for me, I'm not bashing any of the Jurassic theropods. It's just that you would think they would cause more carnage with some of them hating humans to the core and all of that. The only one that has killed a lot is the Indominus. Back to Fang, fast forward a while, and she lays eggs which are stolen from an Egyptian queen who forces her and Spear to go to war countless times with other nations so that she can expand her empire. During these wars, Fang has killed thousands of soldiers and citizens from other nations, which is an insane number for a single dinosaur, even if it is a T-Rex. She also brings down these massive war elephants, who are about twice the size of a Paleoloxodon. In the end of the series, however, not even she could save Spear from his fate, which broke the heart of all of us Primal fans, I'm sure. I know there are a lot of different deaths I left out, but I'll be frank, there just isn't any way I could mention all the kills she did in this video. For something like that to happen, I would need to do a dedicated video on her alone, because I don't want to do videos longer than 15 minutes until that mic comes. She may have been second on the list, but she's first in terms of kill count, because she killed more than one eye and killed them directly, instead of using environmental factors, and she destroys the other 2 in terms of kill count. But the remaining candidates shouldn't be underestimated, especially since the next one can clear entire SWAT teams. Some of you probably know this one from my strongest Ceratosaurus in media video, and if you do, then I'm sure you know why he's on the list. Age of Dinosaurs is a movie that gets a lot of hate, but I honestly still love it to this day. Its plot is similar to Jurassic Park in that a company tried to bring dinosaurs back from the dead, but surprise surprise, the things end up getting loose and start killing people. What's not so similar is that this movie doesn't have a park. The 2 main dinosaurs we see killing people in this movie were the Carnotaurus hybrids that were the size of a small Utahraptor, and the Ceratosaurus the size of Disney's Carnotaurus. The most terrifying entities were the Carno hybrids. Something about the way they kill freaked me out as a 12-year-old. But the real menace was the Ceratosaurus. Check out this video if you want to see a sort of in-depth review on this Cerato, but for this video it's strictly just killing. When all the other dinosaurs break out, he stays behind and is seen eating a woman. Now that's what they show on screen. But in all honesty, it was more. Then the moment he walks out of the museum they were being displayed in, an entire SWAT team comes and tries to put him down with automatic rifles, shotguns and pistols. This thing was treating the bullets like mosquito bites, just shaking them off and then laying the entire SWAT team out. In the first scenes we see 7 of them, but after it shows them all, dead. We can see 8 SWAT members in the shot, and that isn't taking into account the ones he might have eaten off screen. After that, our Jolly Rancher colored boy rampages across the city, eating people on their bikes and breaking into the mall to eat the unwary customers. One death that was satisfying to me was the pteranodon that thought he was that guy. He kept trying to start a fight with the dinosaur and kept flying out of reach, thinking he was safe until he was snatched out of the sky and stomped out. Here we see another even bigger SWAT team get involved. The Indominus may have had people with nets, tranquilizers and electric sticks bothering her, but I don't know how she does against more than a dozen trained officers with a plethora of different weapons. There was also a news helicopter that had the pilot, cameraman and reporter in it, and instead of flying to a safer height and using the zoom feature on the camera to get a closer shot, the buffoons decide to approach mere feet from the thing's face, and then it just grabs the helicopter and swings it into a wall, killing them. You don't get to see how many officers were on screen for this one, but there were more cars, so we can assume it's almost double the amount of the first. We also don't get to see them being killed, but we do know this Ceratosaurus laid them out because minutes after the failed attempt and carnage brought about by trying to kill this thing, the army had to get involved and brings out helicopters. By the way, no matter how many times I mention it, the fact that this thing required 3 missiles to kill it will always be more impressive than the damage most other dinosaurs require to send them 6 feet under. After it dies, another one escapes, and this one takes out the military helicopters, so these guys are all just able to withstand the most heavy firepower. In the entire movie, the first Ceratosaurus managed to kill more than 50 people in under a day, and it would have been a lot more if it wasn't held up with resistance. The last dinosaur is yet another Rex, but not really. It's something most of us would never expect to exist. This is probably one of the worst dinosaur movies I have ever seen. As a matter of fact, I never even watched it out as a child. On weekends or whenever I got a good grade as a kid, I remember my mom taking me to a DVD store to pick out movies, or sometimes she would just surprise me and bring movies back home from work. And she knew what I liked, basically anything with a dinosaur or some type of reptile on it. And she had good taste, but little did I know, this movie was one of the few I couldn't bring myself to complete. Poseidon Rex has a good cover and looks promising, but dear heavens, the CGI and plot are just atrocious. I watched like 40 minutes of this movie and called it quits. Regardless, this mermaid hybrid dinosaur killed more than 29 people, so it deserves to be here in some sense. As the name suggests, it's an aquatic Rex that can swim faster than speedboats and come on land, and like most movies like this, automatic rifles don't really affect it. The plot is basically some gang members looking for gold off the coast of Belize, and the divers place some C4 on an entrance that they think has treasure. The moment the explosives go off, it emerges like Candyman and kills the divers in the water. Then it popped up on the surface and came after the dude on the boat. This movie was so bad that it was funny if you could get that, like this guy's first words after seeing a T-Rex that can swim is, "Whoa, what the?" Anyway, it ends up catching up to him and sends him to the afterlife. Later on, it catches up to a few other gang members and kills them too, with it then going after every person on the surface since it's been awakened. At this point, it's killed more than 20 people already, and by pure coincidence, it comes on land and kills the gang leader just before he was about to kill the heroes. For information about the gold, as a matter of fact, it alone wiped out the entire gang, or most of it. Anyway, after it does its carnage on land, such as immobilizing a vehicle and chasing folks into the woods, it gets its head blown off at the end of the movie, and thus Poseidon Rex's terror comes to an end, thank the Lord. During its entire time on screen, it killed just over or just under 30 people, which is decent, I guess. You know, I was hoping Dinocroc had more kills, more specifically Dinocroc versus Super Gator. That was an old movie that I liked a lot and would have had a yap session about, but sadly it manages to only get about half the kills this atrocity gets. That's just about it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure there are some other dinosaurs that have caused more bloodshed than some on the list, and if you remember, then leave it in the comments. As much as I love dinosaurs, there's only so many movies or series I've seen. Stepping aside from dinosaurs a bit, I want to expand on topics that are reviewed on the channel, like either next week or the following week. I plan to do a video on the bear from Annihilation that rips out your throat and mimics your voice. If it's something you'd like to see, then leave it in the comments. Alright guys, again, thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video.